going to make a Valentine's Day cake in a heart shape without benefit of having a heart-shaped pan. So what I did yesterday was I baked a cake mix, something simple that I know my friends this afternoon will enjoy, in a round pan and a square pan. The round pan, I'm going to cut that layer in half, and the square cake, I'm going to take on my serving board and I'm going to shape it or place it on my board the way a diamond would look. And I'm going to take each half of my cake and I'm going to lay a piece there, and I'm going to lay a piece there, and you can see I've created somewhat of a heart shape. Noticing that this is a little bit higher on one side, so I'm going to go back to my board, and I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to take a little bit of this off, just to kind of try to get it as level as I possibly can. All right, that's looking a little bit better, and perhaps I can see my high side over here, so I'm going to take a little bit of that side off. And I'm not going to be greatly concerned because I am going to frost it generously and I won't have to worry about the unevenness. And I'm not going for perfection, I'm going for delicious tasting cake. So I'm going to put this aside for now. I'm going to go over to the mixer and I'm going to grab my buttercream. I've already colored it pink and it looks really yummy and nice and fluffy. Buttercream is probably the most forgiving of all the frostings I've ever used. So I have that there. I'm going to reach in my drawer and I'm going to grab some offset spatulas. And I have a couple of those just in case I need them. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to grab some wax paper. And what I'm going to do with the wax paper is I'm going to cut some strips of it. Now that's a little bit, tiny bit wide, so I'll take my food scissor and I'm going to cut that strip in half. And I'm going to cut strips about this big. And you'll see why I'm going to do that in just a moment. Again, I ripped that too wide, so I'm going to cut it in half and use strips like that. Maybe this time I'll get the strip the right width. Oh, that's pretty good. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place these under the edges of my cake. And actually I'm going to move this cake up a little tiny bit. And I'm really not concerned about the crack in the cake because I'll fill it up with buttercream. But I'm going to just tuck these strips of wax paper underneath the edges of the cake. And it really serves the purpose of keeping the cake dish nice and clean. I have previously wiped off the crumbs of the cake so there's no crumbs on the cake to speak of. And I'm just going to lay this all the way around. And I can actually whip this and tuck a piece under here. I don't want to get the wax paper underneath the cake totally because I do want to pull out the wax paper when I'm all done. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a little bit of icing on my offset spatula here. And I'm going to frost this piece. This will anchor the cake to the circle piece to the other square piece. And this will anchor the other half circle piece to the square. So I'll do that. And I'm going to be very generous with the frosting. And I'm going to stick that on like that. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to check that my wax paper pieces are in place. And that looks good. Now, when I frost a cake, I like to be very generous with the frosting because when I'm generous with the frosting, that means I don't have to drag my spatula on top of the bare cake. So what I'm going to do is take a big blob of frosting, put that in the center, put another piece over here, and some more frosting over here. And I'm going to actually move the frosting with my offset spatula. So you see how I'm just kind of pushing it back and forth, and I'm never letting that frosting actually touch the cake. And I don't get really concerned because what falls over on this side, I'm going to use that to frost the sides of my cake. So I don't get real concerned about that. But you can see now, you can't even tell that my cakes are really not totally level either. So going to work around, and I'm not going for a smooth look. I'm going for a rather rustic look today. And I've got a decent amount of frosting on the top of the cake. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my offset spatula the other way, not the flat leveling side, but I'm going to go back into my bowl and I'm going to grab some frosting and I'm going to work on the back here that you can't see right this minute, but when I turn around you'll be able to see it. And I use my frosting that's fallen off the sides and what little bit I've had on my offset spatula to frost the sides of the cake. So grab some more frosting here. Going to work my way around, and it really doesn't take a whole lot of time, but when I turn it around and you look at the other side, you're going to see that I've got frosting on my wax paper, which is really why I want to use the wax paper. And at this point right now, I'm going for smooth on the sides. So I'm going to work my way around over on this side, and you can see I know the wax paper is a little curled, but once I get this side done, and we'll work our way around, you'll be able to see that I've been able to get that cake covered with minimal mess to my cake pan, or to my serving tray. Now there's an awful lot of icing on this side, so I'm just going to round the corner with it, come up the side, and I'm almost to where I started, which is a good thing. And again, I guess my biggest tip here is don't be afraid to use a lot of icing. Personally, I think that's the best part of the cake, although some people will disagree. Some people are cake lovers. I happen to be a frosting lover. Have made this cake many, many times. And I do have the whole thing frosted, and it doesn't look too bad. And it really didn't take much time at all. Now, I'm going to clean off my spatula, so I have a relatively clean spatula here. And I'm just going to kind of tidy up around the top of the cake. Nothing fancy at all. And I'm going to run around the sides just to make it look nice and even. Now, I am going to put some decorations on my cake today. Again, nothing fancy. I'm going to share this cake with some friends of mine that I see after school on Wednesdays. And I know they're going to like this. So I'm just going to run around the side here and put a little bit of red colored sugar. Then I'm just going to shake nice and easy. And I'm going to go just making a border. Nothing fancy, nothing nothing outrageous. Just a neat little border around the side. And I'll keep going. I have a bit of sugar here, and I really do want the red to stick out. And I'm going to go back over these areas where I don't feel like I have quite enough of the red. So I'm still working my way around, trying to be as equidistant as I can from the edges. But again, the beautiful thing about this is not what it really looks like, it's what it's going to taste like. And I also have some red and white sprinkles here, so maybe we'll walk around with that a little bit. Go around the cake with that, just a few of them. Now you notice that they're falling onto my wax paper, but that's okay because that's all going to get picked up with the wax paper when I pull it away. So I'm just doing a little bit of this with these colored nonpareils. I actually like the look. And you know what I think I might even do is I might even go very lightly in the center, but very lightly, just kind of like a little sprinkle. You could write a message on here. You could do anything you want. But if you want to make a Valentine cake, you want to make a heart-shaped cake for Valentine's Day, and you don't have a heart-shaped cake, nor do you want to go out and buy one, you can take a square pan. I used an 8-inch square pan and an 8-inch round pan, or regular cake mix, divided the batter, baked it for about 30 minutes in the oven, let it cool, and cut the circle, the round, in half and use that for the hearts. So I'm going to lift these wax papers away. And you see that they've got some frosting on them, so as I'm lifting them away, I'm kind of pulling them up because I don't want to have that be a mess all over. That was just going in the trash. These two little pieces off the top. Okay, I'm going to take my offset spatula one more time and just kind of go around and see if there's anything else that needs to be done, and I'm just going to tuck these little ends right in here like so. And I think I'm all finished. And what I have to say is Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh my goodness, what a beautiful Valentine's cake. What do you pay my Valentine's?
What are you doing, E?
Eating the cake.
How's it taste?
Good.
Like how good?
Delicious. 10 times delicious.
How many times delicious?
10.
Okay.